Anshul, your thoughts on this part of the business when a developer comes to you and says, Anshul, this is the piece of land, it's good for retail, it's good for residential, it's good for offices. What would your advice be? I'm sure throughout the day, we would have heard in this room about the potential of retail and young dynamic population, $200 billion, 5% organized, moving up to 30%, and lots of, things on that. So what would you say to the developer?
So Anuj, the issue across the country at the moment is that the development industry that we have is very young. It's about 15 to 20-year-old industry, really, if you look at how the private developers have emerged. And the experiences that people have in developing is fairly shallow, right? And it's been, the first sort of 7-8 years or the last decade, really, it was fairly opportunistic. So yes, there's an opportunity in commercial, let's all go and build commercial. Now the opportunity is residential, or in between there was retail, let's go all build retail. And the whole idea was just churn quickly because there was money available from investors to buy and just get it. Now if you look at globally, most of the developers, at least when they start and as they mature, they focus on one asset class. So somebody is really good in commercial or somebody is really good in retail and they do that. Then as part of their growth strategy, as they master one, they might move into another, they may move into mixed use development and so on and so forth. And that's what's missing here. My honest advice at this stage, if someone can do and understand retail the way all the gentlemen here have been talking about, I'd say it's probably our best opportunity in country, because really the country is grossly undersupplied from a retail mall perspective. We just have 50 retail malls, right?
Good malls.
That's about it, right? So in my mind, it's grossly undersupplied. All kind of asset classes within retail, whether it's out of town, whether it's your neighborhood, 200,000 square foot, whether it's your out of town, million square foot destination malls, etc. So my advice, if it's available for retail, I think it's a great asset class to build, but only if you're willing to understand what goes inside to make a successful retail mall. And for that, I think expertise at the moment in India is just not there.
Sorry, I'll just, just 3 years back or 4 years back, that figure was 5 malls. Okay, so in 4 years, we as Indians have evolved and become smarter, gone back to the basics, learned much more about how to run malls. So I think now we are at 50.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years down the road, we'll be at 100. You never know.
Yeah. Joe, before I come to you, sorry.
Given it's such undersupplied sector, why would you not build malls? You should.
You should.
Yeah.
Right.
But as Vivek said, is that you need to have the pocket, you need to have the heart, you need to have the knowledge, and you need to have the passion.
Look at the hospitality sector. Yeah. 10 years ago, there were hardly any hotel rooms to be found. Today, it's become an oversupplied sector, but the hotels which know how to run good hotels, they're doing fine. Yeah. And there are other hotels, which is 2-star, 3-star, small properties, even large properties, they're also for sale. There are lots of hotels for sale.
But which is what it is, no? Because if you speak with those owners, they will tell you the pain that they have. So it's nice as a consumer, but as an owner, I'm not so sure they've had a dream run on that.
But the point is, the people who've done it well have made money and will continue to make money in the long run. People, and the number of hotels, the probably largest number of hotels as a proportion on sale at this point in time. Yeah. But if you don't do well, it will be the same problem. And it goes back to the expertise, the hotel expertise, the retail expertise. Do you have it in you? Yeah.
So before Joe, I come to you, Bikram, just 2 very quick questions, and because they are retail connected, if you can let me know what your inputs are. Would retailers ever become mall developers? 1, and second, your experience high street versus mall as an occupier.
The first one, very honestly, will have a lot to do with, like you said, the deep pockets, the passion, and the heart, and the patience to go through with it. Yeah. Malls versus high streets.
You need a trunk. You don't need a pocket. You gotta be mad.
Yeah. So personal perspective, obviously, looking at new malls, one sees a much higher level of sophistication, much greater understanding, just like you gentlemen who are much more qualified to speak on this have. But from our own perspective, that of a jewelry retailer, we are still somehow a high street business. and very specifically in jewelry clusters. I mean, the whole jewelry segment in India is a predisposed segment. It's not what women will do on a Saturday afternoon of browsing. You don't just go into a jewelry store to browse or a jewelry cluster. You typically go when you actually are, you know, with intent to buy, and which is why jewelers tend to cluster together, and there is that consumer behavior that comes through. Having said which, of course, the jewelry industry is looking at malls very seriously. Market leader Tanishq is the market leader by far, is already in some malls and is obviously expanding. And that is a signal for all of us. We ourselves have some in there, and I think it remains to be seen how the consumer behavior evolves now and how we follow suit.
Finally, Joe, two questions, and that is going to determine how the growth and the success of these malls are going to be. The first one, do you think that the international brands, when they come into India, are going to influence the design of the malls? One. And second is, do you believe that our consumers in India are ready for the next stage of evolution of these malls, i.e., suburban malls moving away from city center like you have in the US, large suburban, flat malls across some of these cities? So one from a retailer and how international retailers and some of the luxury brands are going to influence design, if they would. And the second, do you think that the consumer is ready to move the way more mature markets have the malls, which are largely out of city?
So to the first question, I think more than the international brands, it's going to be the consumer that's going to give feedback and inputs to a developer on how he'd like the mall. I think it'll be wrong to assume that what worked in the shopping mall capitals, whether it's Singapore, Hong Kong, or Dubai, or even China, will work in India. It's a completely different market. I think we will miss the wave of having these huge malls in city. We might have a situation where, considering the experience that developers had, they will have small food courts and shopping experience centers attached to residential and commercial projects, and then you would, I think there is an opportunity for suburban malls. I think there's an opportunity for a location where families can go for an experience, whether it's IKEA or a Kidzania or some place where they can actually spend more than half a day and do shopping. That will have potential because the land costs in the city is becoming prohibitive. It's becoming as expensive as some of the biggest cities in the world. So I think we'll shift towards that, and the malls in the city will tend to become smaller, and developers will have to be very flexible in structuring the deals that they make with retailers when they make malls in city.
Yeah.
I was just going to go to Vivek, and then perhaps Ketan, I'll come back to you. So last three questions. Vivek, very quickly, most of these malls were about 1 million square feet plus. Do you think we have the depth of retailers to be able to fill up these malls?
Today, no. Maybe by the topic of discussion, which is Vision 2020, 6-7 years down the line, maybe yes. But honestly, it's only going to be in the metros. I don't think the 1 million square footers carpet area ones are gonna work in the smaller towns. So yes, for smaller towns, 350, 400 or 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, good. Sanjay, how would REIT impact mall development in India?
So it's the regulatory framework which will decide the course, which I think is on the right track. And knowing that there is less capital coming from domestic market, I think there would be flexibility in design which will attract capital. I also feel the initial concern of the government, this FDI will cause a lot of speculation in the real estate market, has not really caused that much speculation. In fact, it's the reverse. So it will definitely impact the real estate and the retail sector, and I think the chance of that happening in the short term is higher now.
How do you define short term?
3 years. medium to long term, 5 to 10 years. I think short term because really there's need, and also these certain alternate ways of acquiring built asset in the retail segment have also been endorsed by top firms. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if Blackstone by next year is holding an asset portfolio of 5 or 6, and we're talking how did that happen. I think it's headed that way for sure.
Ketan, sorry, you were making a point.
No, I think I was referring to your first question as to how the design for luxury malls, or for luxury spaces. I think what I'm seeing in you know, all over Asia, and I think I'm seeing this in India as well, is that, you know, luxury, the design for malls for luxury is not going to be, at least in the near future, going to be only pure luxury malls, barring 1 or 2 in India which we know about. But I think you know, basically have something like what we have, like a Palladium in Bombay, where you have some amount of luxury and they go on to super premium and so on. I think I've seen this in Thailand and everywhere. I think pure luxury, I think in Asia, it's going to take some time where we have a full-on luxury mall. I think that may happen a few years later. I think in India there is only 1 or 2. Or maybe 3, I think, but I don't think it's really succeeded to that extent. Yeah. But I think in India, like for the next 4 or 5 years, I think will be a blend of luxury, and then design will be automatically be influenced that way. So,
my last question, Anshul, to you. You know, we've been hearing about the transparency since the AAP party has come into power a lot more in that. Do you think that transparency in this sector, which is, you know, just the real estate sector overall, leave the retail out, it's a subset of that. Do you think there is going to be increased transparency in years to come?
I definitely, the pressure is definitely there, and I think with consumers becoming a lot more aware with the real estate regulatory bill, etc., I think we are headed in that direction, definitely. And you know, the other part is we also interact, as I'm sure you do, with a lot of younger developers, new developers on the block. And definitely the thought process that they bring in is going in the right direction. I'm not saying that they'll be 100% transparent, but I think the way they operate and what they talk about in the market and what their vision is to deliver behind it is a lot more transparent than it used to be, or it's with traditional developers. Even some of the larger developers are making quite a lot of effort to clean up their own system to create a bit more transparency. I think the pendulum is swinging in the right direction, and it's revolutions like AAP, which I hope is more of an opposition revolution, but that's my personal opinion. But revolution like AAP, I think, is only going to help it.
Super. On that positive note, I would like to end this panel. You know, thank you very much to the panelists, Mridunjay, to you for telling us about e-commerce. Vikram, you know, your thoughts on high street and how jewelry works on high street, and that foreign retailers are not going to come in a hurry. I think, Vivek, we enjoyed your comments on having the heart, the mind, and the pocket to be able to do the malls. So it's not really a cookie cutter approach. Sanjay, thanks to your comments on the REIT. I think that will definitely be a game changer as and when it comes in. Ketan, you're absolutely correct. There aren't going to be many pure luxury malls, barring, you know, 3 or 4 that India has. I'm not so sure India is yet ready, in our opinion, to be able to take more. And Anshul, thanks for the positive note on transparency, and you know, that is really important for this sector. If we have to invite more capital coming in on the real estate side, so that is, you know, very helpful. And Joe, thanks to you on the comments of suburban malls and you know, some of the more mature audience in cities moving towards that direction. So thank you very much to the people on the floor. I'm not sure we would have time for any questions. So you know, thank you very much to the panel here.
Thank you, Anuj.